Okay, guys, so now let's resume our discussion. Okay, so now we were discussing about the session 5. Okay, so what what's layer 5 is all about? So this layer actually manages the connection between application on different devices. Okay, it establishes, maintains, and terminates connection, ensuring that communication sessions are properly synchronized. So what I mean by that is that, let's say, let's go through again the same diagram. It's the first one. Okay, so let's say this computer P wants to kind of communicate with, let's say, this device. Let's say F, for example. So the computer P wants to kind of communicate with the computer F over here. Okay, and so now how these two computers, or how F will know that, okay, it needs to kind of that so uh, the layers that we have discussed till now, there was like physical layer which is transmitting the data in 0 and 1s. Data link layer was something like which was transmitting data in kind of it was managing the bits and bytes that was transferred by the physical layer in a reliable manner. Link layer was the network layer was something which was trying to kind of establish a connection between two different kind of networks. And transport layer was kind of trying to see, okay, there's no error between the data that is going back and forth. But how will this computer F know that the data that P is about to send some data to it, which the F needs to receive? Okay, because the data can be sent from P to F, but if the F doesn't know, what will happen is that the data is like all waste. It will not kind of read that data, and it will not take certain actions on that data if there's no uh, early notifications to F that P is about to kind of send some data. Okay, so there we needs to kind of establish certain kind of connection. Okay, so let's one example is, let's say we dial a number of our friend, and let's say the ring is going on. Okay, and let's say someone actually picked the phone, but it's not your actual friend. So when if you kind of, let's say, you share your data, your actual information is reaching to your friend, for example. Okay, so all the information is kind of going to waste. So the session layer will kind of ensure that there is a proper kind of a connection established between, let's say, the computer P and F. And once the proper communication had been set up, then only the computer P is starting to kind of send the data to F, or kind of data is kind of sent back and forth between P and F. So the connection, so the establishing of connection before the data is being sent out from two different computers or two different network or two different devices on different network, a connection needs to be set up, and that's the role of the session layer. Okay, the session layer ensures that a proper connection has been set up before two or more devices start kind of sending data back and forth between them. So that's the role of the session layer. So one of the basic example of the session layer can be, let's say, when you log into your email account. Okay, the session layer actually creates a secure connection between your computer and the email server. Okay, that's how you'll be able to kind of, once that connection has been set up, then only you'll be able to kind of either read the email or send the email. So for all of this thing happening, so when you read or send the email, obviously these all layers are in action. They send your data back and forth between the computer. But before that happens, you need to first establish a connection between your computer and the email server. So that role will be of session layer. Okay, the session layer will be responsible setting up the connection, and then only once that's done, then where the data will be kind of going back and forth. Okay, so that's all about a session layer in kind of an easy example. And now let's discuss about the L6, which is the presentation layer. Okay, and these are some of the things we kind of need to understand, like it needs to be like the layer names and all needs to be in our fingertips. So when someone asks, we are kind of quickly able to explain the layers and layer names, as well as what this basic layer does, what the layer does, what's the role and responsibilities of all these layers. So we need to know all this thing in our fingertips. Okay, so what's presentation layer, which is also called as layer 6. So this layer deals with data formatting and encryption, basically. Okay, ensuring that data that is presented in a format that both sender and receiver can understand. Okay, so it deals with the data formatting and encryption. So let's say C1 is about to send some data to C2. Okay, so let's say there has been a connection established by the session layer. Now this C1 is sending some data out to C2. Okay, and let's say it's kind of an in an encrypted fashion. Okay, or let's say it is sending out a CSV file or a PDF file. Okay, so this presentation layer will the role of presentation layer will be to make the C2 understand that the PDF file that is being sent out from the C1 it is getting properly parsed at the C2 layer. Okay, and so that the whoever is using that computer is able to read that PDF file and it makes sense to them. Okay, so let me see this event. I'll just add it. Okay, so I've admitted Irwin too. Okay, so now let's continue our discussion. So our discussion with the partition layer. So what this partition layer does, it deals with the data formatting and encryption. Let's say this computer is sending out a PDF file to this C2. Okay, so the partition layer will ensure that the PDF layer is before sending out, it is properly let's say formatted, and all the information that is needed to open that PDF file is all attached. Let's say it's all attached before it is sent out. And once this data is received by the C2, the presentation layer will again use that information on how to parse the data, what that data is, the metadata of that file and all, and it will help utilize that, and it will properly parse that PDF file so that the C2, whoever the human is using that computer, is able to understand, properly parse the PDF and read the content from it. Okay, so that's the role of the presentation layer. So the example that I gave was like when you open a PDF file, the presentation layer ensures that the data is displayed correctly. That's all. Okay, so now the last part which we normally interact with in our day-to-day life, which is the application layer, which normally as a normal human we are all worried about. That is the application layer. Okay, so this is a layer which is, so it is also called as L7. Okay, so this is the layer which is closest to the end user. Okay, and it provides providing the interface between the users and the communication system. It provides the interface between the user and communication system. And thing is that it includes applications like, let's say, web browsers, email clients, or file sending applications. Okay, so all those things are resides on the application layer. So the example that I gave are like web servers, or let's say web browser actually. And let's say the other example can be like email clients, and let's say file sharing application. Okay, so these all things actually runs at layer 7. So one example is, let's say, the Chrome browser. Okay, so now as you see that over here there are a lot of data that is going back and forth between me and you guys. Okay, so all those things right now are getting handled by these layers, the communication that is happening between me and you guys. Okay, by the layer 6 to layer 1. So whatever I'm speaking is getting transmitted to you guys in bits of zeros and one. Data link layer is ensuring that the 0 and 1s are properly are getting sent out in reliable fashion to your end. Network layer is ensuring over here that the packets from my computer is without any error is reaching out to you guys. Same with the transport layer, and the session layer is also making sure that there is already a connection established between my computer and your computer, by which you can listen to my voice, listen to the screen recordings and all. And presentation layer is what it is ensuring that whatever I am speaking or the data is getting properly parsed at your end. But the application layer, which is the web browser, it is help us ensuring that whatever we are seeing right now, it's going to display to us in a normal human fashion. So thing is that we can't, whatever data I'm sending, it's not possible as a human to understand everything in 0 and 1. Okay, if that would be the case, we would have just seen the 0 and 1. We would be just doing a manual analysis what that 0 and 1 chunk mean. It is either an audio or a video. Okay, but here everything is taken care of.